This week on MS Refresh, updates to Microsoft Search and Microsoft Lists, have your email talk to you, and the new Outlook app bar has leaked. Stick around for the details, subscribe to stay in the know. This is the MS Refresh Show. Hi there, and welcome to the Matt and Sean 365 Refresh Show. This is episode 11 for the week of February 15th, 2021. My name is Matt Wade, coming to you from the East Coast of the U.S.
And I'm Sean Bugler, coming to you from the West Coast. How are you, Matt?
Sean's got a little bit of the giggles today, because
I do.
We couldn't start the show until we got it out of our system.
It's not out. Matt, happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, thank you, and to you too.
We're, of course, recording on Valentine's Day. It'll be Monday for all the business people by the time we start pushing this out.
Don't give away our secrets.
I feel like Happy Valentine's Day might give it away.
Yeah, right. Well,
big plans?
No, I have the best girlfriend ever. She hates her birthday and she hates Valentine's Day. Every man in the world is jealous right now.
I don't know, because I feel like that would, even years into a relationship, I would be like, this is a trick.
Oh, I do think it's a trick. However, I get yelled at when I don't do what I'm supposed to on either of those days. So at this point, I have to kind of do what I'm told, otherwise I get scolded. So I just kind of let it go from there. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Oh, well, Matt, how was your week? We were just talking about this offline, but the book, you're getting close. You're almost done.
Book's
got a
getting
couple
close.
more chapters.
Yep, and it's a process. A book is an interesting thing, and just busy. Work is busy, good busy. A lot of learning, a lot of getting much more acquainted with the government tenants out there, which is I knew what I was signing up for, but sometimes it's still a bit of a nightmare. But
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, I know, and you can relate. So I appreciate the
solidarity.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. What about you? How's the West Coast treating you?
Pretty good. I've enjoyed the community response to our Viva video over the past week, so it's been really nice getting to connect with some people. We obviously, made some connections with some Microsoft friends who helped us understand some of the decisions, some of which we still disagree with, for the Viva side of things. But it was between that and school. I think it was a busy week. I think it's been a busy week for both of us. So I'm glad to be able to just sit down and relax and hang out with my best friend, Matt.
Yes, exactly. And talk about all the upcoming and interesting things happening in the M365 world, even if it is just overwhelming and like drinking from a fire hose every single week. And with that,
we do it for you.
Why don't we bring it straight into the news, Sean?
This is the news.
We reported on this as a roadmap item a couple of weeks ago, but Microsoft is reportedly working on a new navigation app bar for Outlook, similar to the upcoming SharePoint app bar. I even designed a terrible... Who wrote terrible? I even designed a world-class mock-up of what we expected it might look like. Well, wonder no more. In a since-removed social media post, the Outlook app bar has been revealed. Seen here, the app bar shares distinct similarities to the Office.com app bar, including placeholders to other Microsoft 365 applications. I think I was pretty close. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella tweeted on Tuesday that Excel formulas, quote, the world's most popular programming language, is now Turing Complete, end quote. Now, I had to read into this a bit more to fully understand, but here's the gist. You can now, in principle, write any computation in the Excel formula language. What that means, to start with, is that using the new Lambda function, people can actually design and implement custom Excel functions that don't already exist. Lambda is currently limited to the Insider's beta program. There's a lot more to it, so we'll include the blog post written by Microsoft researchers Andy Gordon and Simon Peyton-Jones, along with a betting pool of exactly how long we think it'll take to port Doom. It's a ways out, but exciting nonetheless. Work has begun to make Microsoft Search just a little more actionable without taking you out of the context of where you currently are. According to Microsoft's 365 roadmap entry, a new action menu will appear with search results, allowing an item not only to be opened in the web experience, but directly opened in the desktop application, downloaded, shared, or copy the link to the item. Estimated release date is slated for June later this year, but if anything, the entry makes clear that Microsoft Search has a few more tricks up its sleeve to make it more than just a search engine. With the explosion of new Microsoft lists, now that the service has hit general availability, the work begins to optimize and enhance. As SharePoint veterans know, versioning for lists and libraries has always been off by default. That changed in 2018, and all new libraries created since have version history enabled. It seems that time has come for lists as well. Starting later this month, by default, new lists will retain the 50 most recent major versions of an individual list item, allowing end users to view and recover previous versions from the list item history. As always, users can change how many versions are retained or disable versioning altogether. And on that note, it's important to note that the change doesn't affect existing lists. So any lists that have already been created, you will need to enable version history. In a related Microsoft Lists update, Microsoft is also working to implement new list level settings to disable or re-enable commenting, a relatively new feature for lists that rolled out with the new Microsoft Lists branding. That feature is scheduled to arrive next month, so keep your eyes peeled. For many of us, being trapped at home for the last 10 plus months has had some interesting side effects. The Washington Post had an interesting article about the rapid increase in the number of people who admit talking to themselves as a means of coping, which I totally get. Well, it looks like Outlook for iOS is looking to take advantage of this newfound fondness for saying stuff out loud, with deeper Cortana integration. Described as conversational AI, users will be able to take advantage of voice interaction to start Teams calls, schedule events and meetings in Outlook, including adding participants and even updating existing events. In addition, Cortana can help users begin composing messages. The feature is scheduled to start rolling out at the end of February, running through April. If you're like me, and you have a deep, insatiable need to try things before they launch, get ready for the Wave. The 2021 Wave 1 Early Access Preview for Dynamics 365 and Power Platform is now available for admins to opt into. This preview includes all the features and enhancements scheduled to roll out for both platforms starting April 1st and running through September. And an important note, government cloud customers are also able to opt in according to the Message Center as of February 8th, so good times all around. Here's a fun fact for you. The Instagram app launched for iPhone on October 6th, 2010. That's over 10 years ago. The Microsoft Office app, on the other hand, hit app stores on February 19th, 2020. Where am I going with this? Guess which one launched an iPad app first? If you guessed Instagram, you're probably watching the wrong show, but we appreciate your patronage nonetheless. Now, the Microsoft Office app has officially been scaled up for the iPad. The app is scheduled for release later this month and features all the same embedded experiences you've come to love, I think, about the phone-sized version. The app has also been optimized for iPadOS specifically, offering dedicated keyboard, mouse, and trackpad support. So, enjoy, tablet users.
That was the news.
All right, thanks, Sean. So what is the first item that really kind of stood out to you this week that you want to chat about?
I don't know how you can lead with anything other than Excel officially claiming the mantle of being a Turing Complete language. So I had to go look up what this meant because I felt like intuitively I understood what it meant to be Turing Complete, which is markedly different from, being a language that can like pass the Turing test. Like we're not in the Matrix. We're not, worried about Excel running our customer service lines or anything like that. As we mentioned in the news, a Turing Complete language simply means that they can now use the Excel function language to build any other programmatic execution. You could build your own Excel functions. It's a really fancy way of saying you can build your own Excel functions.
Yeah. And that one to me was interesting because of how big of a deal Microsoft made out of it, including the CEO posting about it.
Well, of course, you know why.
Right.
Why Satya cares.
And because he used to work on the Excel team. I think he was one of the developers. But Google knew me too well. It actually, when I searched up when I searched the term Turing Complete, because I've only heard of Turing Test, I'm just a simple civil engineer, people. I fell into the IT world by mistake. I'm not a computer scientist. I do love history, but like I didn't get into it that deeply, apparently. It came back with the first hit was Turing Complete from the Simple English Wikipedia. So that was my overview of what Turing Complete was. And it was a very well-written article, I must say. It helped me understand.
Kudos to the chef.
Yes, right. But
So
now,
I'm
of course,
excited
all the Excel geeks out there who have always said that Excel can do anything, they're pretty much right, except be a database. It can't still do that. You know.
Oh, give it time. Give it time. I feel like as we get closer and closer to full Excel in the web, that argument is going to get more and more ferocious.
That is an interesting.
I still disagree with it. To be clear, I still disagree with it. But you know, it's clear that they're investing behind the scenes, both in lists and in the way that Excel functions. You know, we talked about the Excel cell history. You know, who knows what kind of enhancements that's going to power?
Yeah, definitely.
What about you? What caught your eye in the news?
I mean, I always love a little bit of scuttlebutt. So the fact that the Outlook app bar leaked by mistake, I thought was reasonably interesting. Coming from probably one of the best people at Microsoft, from like a PR is not the right term, but he's just so well loved by his community. Scott, and oops, took a picture of something that I shouldn't be sharing. But the fact that we see what that looks like, I think it's pretty cool. It looks pretty nice, actually. I liked what I saw. I think it's going to be a nice little unifier across the apps.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, it was a leak in the sense that we didn't necessarily know what it was going to look like, with the exception of my horrible mock-up that I did the other week. But I was not far off. I was pretty pleased with myself. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like we gave away some trade secret, but it was interesting to see it visually, because I think too often we see something show up on the roadmap and it's difficult to understand what the tea leaves mean. You know what I mean?
I already envision whatever the result is going to be at all. Period. But yeah, I mean a little bit of fun stuff like that is always enjoyable. Yeah. What else stood out to you this week?
The conversational investments that Microsoft is making in Outlook in general looks like they're focusing, of course, on iOS to start, and that's, I mean, we see that across a lot of different spaces, even beyond Microsoft. iPhone is just a really easy platform to develop on because it's all the same. It's exactly what you're getting from end to end across all phones. But this idea that Cortana is no longer being hoisted up as a personal assistant for everything, but kind of becoming this more surgically utilized personal assistant in enterprise contexts is really interesting. And I think we're going to see a lot of that, not just in the Microsoft universe, but I think Salesforce will probably get into the game. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how this goes. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
tactical AI. Ooh,
yeah.
Coin that.
Having come from, I spent a little time in the AI field the last couple of years, and the idea of having a bot that specifically does, or is like is a specialty bot, makes a lot of sense. It's really hard to generalize a bot, especially when you have language, contextual needs for language to really be understood. If you want to do that, you can. It's just like you just have to be really, really dedicated to the language understanding model. And like if you look at just how bad Siri is, and this is coming from a Mac fanboy, you can see that even a $1 trillion company can't pull it off, even when they try. So when we would work with customers on their bot models, they'd want to have like the bot of bots, and then each department, if they wanted to have their own chat bot, it would kind of feed all of them up into one or bubble them all up. And like it's really hard because if you want to say I want a new folder for my office, or that's not a good example. We always saw issues where you wanted to request something, and it would be like facilities and IT would overlap in the wording that they use for the requests, and you can't really fix that. And sure, the bot can come back and then say, are you talking about, you want a new something for your office? Like, do you want a new license of Office 365, or do you want a new desk in your office? And like, that's what would split between the IT and the facility side. But just the fact that you have to put in that level of complexity makes the system that much more complex. So I can see where the local level ones are easier, because you as a human, it's much easier for you to know to go to, say, like the facilities homepage on the internet and go to the bot on the facilities homepage, because you know that you want to talk to within the context of the facilities experience, not the overall company experience. So.
And I think that's that keyword, the context.
Yes,
it's really hard to imbue into a personal assistant. I just worry about, as they invest in Cortana more so across the Microsoft 365 stack, how do you just neuter that functionality depending on where you are in the Microsoft 365 universe? Like, can you only talk to Cortana about Outlook stuff when you're in Outlook? Or can you only do, those kinds of actions in Word when you're in Word? Or are they going to be able to figure out, with context, like, hey, Cortana, talk to Outlook or something?
Yeah. Admittedly, I haven't played much in the AI field since I left that role, almost, I don't know, 9 months ago now at this point. But the Cortana brand was just really, really opaque. Cortana had been kind of pulled. The Cortana for Business announcements had all kind of like fallen by the wayside, and like Cortana on Windows had like either been deactivated or was like just really, really low in what it could actually do. And then like, that calendar.help tool that's built into
which is still out there. I still use it.
Right. That's called Cortana as well, but like there's no actual Cortana portion of that. I think it's just like, oh, if it's Microsoft AI, it's Cortana. And like, no, that's not how that works, so I'm still unsure how the whole Cortana experience and brand works. It's not clear. Like, at least, Siri might be bad, but at least I know what Siri is, and I know where Siri is accessed, and I know how to get Siri's attention if I need to get Siri. Not that I ever do. But, Alexa, on the other hand, is good at what she does, and, like, she's easy to get a hold of, but Cortana is just not it's not a great brand. I'm not the biggest fan, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to see improvements on that, too.
Yeah, totally agree.
What's one last thing that caught your attention?
So the Office app for iPad is nice, because that is currently one of the few apps I have on my iPad. When you pop it open, I have to turn my iPad like this to look at it.
So irritating.
I know, it really is. But that kind of brings up not just the fact that Office is there, because at first I thought of the Office app when it came out. This is sort of my when Together mode came out. Oh, what a gimmick this is! It's completely unnecessary. And then I had a turnaround once I started using it, and actually it is a really good experience. But it kind of makes me wonder why Office Lens exists anymore. So Office Lens just got an update. It just got a new logo to match all the new logos or icon.
And it's Microsoft Lens now, isn't it?
Yes, you're right. The name, it changed to Microsoft Lens. Exactly. So that is really useful. For those of you who have never used Lens before, it's really good for scanning documents and photos and whiteboards and things like that. And it can filter things. Like I used to use that to like scan, claims for insurance claims, things like that, or other things like for my parents. If they wanted
were
something
the
scanned.
sole use case for all Microsoft Ignites ever.
And so they brought that into OneDrive a while ago, which already made Lens sort of unnecessary. And then the Office app brought it in even more, because with the Office app, you can actually make a Word document off of text, or you can make an Excel file off of a table, and it will automatically format it correctly in the experience that it needs to be in. So I don't know, just kind of, I'm not so like intrigued with the Office app, because like it's been good, I like it. Finally, it's coming to the iPad, but I'm kind of curious, like why are we even supporting Microsoft Lens at this point? I don't know if there's a feature that it does that the others don't. I don't think there is one left. I think if there was a Venn diagram of OneDrive, mobile app, Microsoft Lens, and Office, I think Lens would be inside completely both of the two other ones.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think, I'll have to go take a look. My guess would be if they are continuing to invest in it, and it feels like they are, just updating the name and giving it a new logo feels like they're still trying to treat this as a separate brand. And maybe this is just because they're still separate teams. But,
true.
Maybe they're going to use this as like a skunkworks thing to like try new ways of scanning, new content types to scan and things like that within like the standalone app before they make it over to like the Office app.
Sure.
But then again, it'll be interesting to see. But now I hear you.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, let's wrap that up there, and let's jump into the community aspect for this week. First up, let's talk about the upcoming events in the Microsoft 365 world. We've got actually 3 new ones that we haven't seen since the last time we talked about upcoming events that got announced since. So the first one is not one of the new ones. February 27th, the Scottish Summit. I will actually be speaking at that, talking about everyday etiquette in Microsoft Teams if you're interested in joining me there. And then on March 2nd, we have Microsoft Ignite. Also the M365 Saturday Chennai. March 6th, M365 Saturday Pune. And then May 14th and 15th, M365 Philly, which is the old SharePoint Saturday Philadelphia, is now a 2-day event. All of these are going to be virtual, so you can feel free to sign up for free and attend at your whim. And then you can always get the full list of upcoming events, which a few more items have been added to that since the last time we talked about this. Get it with the link that you see in the description or at the bottom of the video page, and you are good to go. And for Community Member of the Week, Sean, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Yeah, so we've got, I almost wanted to try and squeeze this into our special episode last week, but obviously, we had a ton to talk about last week. So Hugo managed to hold on to the crown for one extra week. But this week, I wanted to highlight a good friend of mine, Elaiza Benitez. She's a Microsoft Business Apps MVP. She has been for, I think, coming up on 3 years now. She is wonderful. She is right out of the gate my favorite Kiwi out of New Zealand. She's got a blog. She's got the Benitez Here blog. She's got her Twitter account. She's doing YouTube videos on Microsoft Teams, Power Automate, Power Apps. She's doing a lot of stuff right now with Dynamics 365 or Dataverse content. So she's doing a lot of videos lately with like Dataverse for Teams. A ton of cool stuff. It's just, of course, part of FlowFam, which you and I, of course, are also part of FlowFam, the internal community of, Power Automate and Power Apps. Yeah. But she's just such a wonderful person. She was also my Secret Santa, which I think I'm allowed to say now that we're this far outside of Christmas.
Oh,
Elaiza, your package is coming. Your package is coming, Elaiza. I promise.
We apologize for the U.S. Postal Service as of late. Yes, right.
We should all be apologizing, both for and to the U.S. Postal Service. But yeah, so I mean, we'll post her information in the description. Go check out her blog. Go follow her on Twitter. Go subscribe to her on YouTube. Genuinely, Elaiza Benitez, big fan.
Definitely, yeah. I will second all of that, especially some of her Power Automate posts and info that she puts out there. I don't think I've actually seen her. I can't remember if I've actually bumped into her in person. If I have, it would probably be at Ignite. But we started doing a bunch of those FlowFam Zoom calls. Yes, Zoom calls. Since the pandemic started, and that was actually my first time really interacting with her. She's just really just super pleasant person and fun and funny to hang out with and all that stuff. So I think she's got me on the MVP too. I think she beat me.
Oh, really?
I think so. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Small world.
I'm okay with that. That's cool with me. But yeah. All right, cool. Well, let's wrap that up and let's say bring this thing to an end. Any last words you would like to share from the home of Silicon Valley?
No. I don't think I've got anything.
Good. I didn't want to hear anything else anyway.
No, I think obviously we picked up a couple of fans that work for Microsoft, the courtesy of our last video. So I'll be curious to see if they stick around to the end of this one here. But I do want to say, we minders. We have minders now. But I do want to say to any of them that are watching, please reach out. I think obviously Matt and I are continuing to try and find new ways of highlighting the stuff that's coming out here, understanding a little bit more of the context. We do the best we can with the information that we've got, but on background, we're happy to take those conversations.
Yep. And if you are new from the Viva video, thanks for sticking around. We appreciate you watching another episode and staying in the know with us. If you are intrigued with these videos, and especially the Viva video, we're going to do something just the same for Microsoft Ignite coming up the next month or so. We want to make sure everybody has a good idea of what came out of that conference announcement-wise, implication-wise, what you need to start planning on, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, stick around for that and keep an eye out for us. Definitely the first week of March, if not the other Mondays that we push out regardless. But thanks so much for watching. A like and a subscribe is much appreciated. We love to hear your comments, your thoughts, your feedback, your interest. We'd love to start a fight with you online. Bring it on. Just drop those comments down in the section below there. And Sean, great chatting with you as always, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks, man. All right, so I saw the comment from last week where you were called out as being wrong on your prediction that the Yammer brand is going to go away. I was so right on my other prediction. You didn't mention how wrong you were on the other one, apparently.
Fly too close to the sun. Yeah, Steve Wynn came back and he was like, debunking the prediction that there's no plans to drop the Yammer ban, which I still disagree with. I think that I didn't think it was going to happen this coming Ignite. But then, of course, I followed up with, whether we were right on the Yammer stories, and he didn't debunk that. He said, quote, "See you at MVP Summit," which,
He's
thanks.
not gonna see you at MVP Summit.
No, he's not, because, of course, I cannot be an MVP because
not?
I work for the government. It is...
It's bad enough working for the government.
I understand why they do that to some degree, but I feel like there's got to be a way that they can carve out a space to elevate people who are investing time in the community, because I'm not the only one. Jeremy Wood, a great example of that, running the community for the government clouds in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. This is what happens when you're ethical and you tell people ahead of time that you did what you did. So you got everything that you deserved.
I think that'll be good.